Hello there, cats and kittens. My name is Alonda Carter, and I am the Recovering Hunbot. I create anti-MLM videos, and I am dipping my toes into true crime. And, really, honestly, let's just be serious here. Isn't multi-level marketing, really criminal? I think so. Anywho, okay, so my hair is looking funky lately, and you're just going to have to deal with that because of just really am not feeling doing that extra. And I know my backdrop sometimes it's not all the way across, but it is what it is. And, this is just how I'm rolling. Life isn't perfect and I'm human. So back when I lived in downtown Houston, I lived in this tiny, I mean, teeny tiny loft. And what I'd sometimes do, I have a wisdom tooth that I think needs to be removed, and it's really bothering me. And I don't want to be around people right now because that thing. Anyway, okay, but it's bothering me, so I'm sorry, but it's just bothering. It really does hurt. It hurts so much. Anyway, so back to that teeny tiny little loft. What I do a lot of times on the weekend, maybe you have done this. I know I can't be the only one, so admit it to me if you have. I like Lifetime movies. Now, I haven't watched them in a long time, but there was a time when I'd get up and I kind of like do a day of Lifetime movies. Now, I'm going to be honest with you because this is sometimes what I do when I do like a day of movies, and I just like put the TV on and just kind of let it go. I'll fall asleep. I'll just like lull me to sleep and I'll wake back up, and sometimes it's the same movie. Sometimes it's a different movie, so I don't always see all of it. But I remembered this movie because I saw it back then when I lived in this teeny little teeny tiny loft. And it's a story that has always gripped me, It's always something that has bothered me so much. And I've actually posted about it on social media. Maybe not every year, but you know, usually around this time of year, I mention it. And I really hope that I do this story justice because I want people to remember Holly. I think about her and I think about what happened to her. And it's just always bothered me so much. All right. Let me go ahead and issue to you my standard warning. Oh, wait, I forgot about something before that warning thing. Again, I think it's because of that my mind is just not here, is I just feel so out of sorts. Maybe you're the same way, but I've had some new patrons. Thank you. And I think maybe I did shout you out, but I don't remember. And so you're either going to get like a double shout out or you're getting your shout out now and it's late. And if it's late, I'm so sorry, but what can I say? I just feel so scattered. Anywho, let me tell you who joined because I really appreciate it so very much. Ellie Wilson, thanks so much for your Braves Bayou membership. I really appreciate your support. And thank you, Ada, for being a Buffalo Bayou patron. You totally rock. Alrighty, back to my warning. Warning, the following presentation is intended for mature audiences. It contains graphic descriptions of crime scenes, adult dialogue, and strong language. Viewer discretion is advised. Tyler, Texas is located in East Texas. It's a tiny little town. They're smaller towns, okay? There really are. But, looking at what the census was in 2018, which was just a little over 100,000, I'm thinking, in the 60s and 70s, it was probably less. I tried to find it and I couldn't. So maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but I do know it's not that big, okay? Especially if, I live in Houston, hello. But I want you to imagine for a minute. Maybe you are from a small town, maybe you're not, but imagine that you are. And I think about this because there was a time when I lived in LaGrange, Texas, and I had moved there from Houston. So, I have about a year or so of, small Texas town girl behind me. But I've always enjoyed when I go through like little small towns because I think, what is life like here? And so I think about that when I'm telling this story because this was a small little town and there was this young woman and, she had her entire life ahead of her. And unfortunately, it was cut short. Now, imagine you're this girl and you have these dreams, big dreams. You want to do something with your life. Maybe you don't know exactly what that is, but you have dreams. And then you find out that you're accepted into a college that's on the East Coast, like, in a big metropolitan type area. Imagine that. Well, such was the case for Helen Holly Maddux. She was like the it girl in high school, okay? She was like, a salutatorian. I don't know if I said that right. She danced. She just did all kinds of things, and she was really, really well liked, and she was this beautiful young girl. Now imagine the excitement being a small town girl and being able to kind of like shake off that small town and move somewhere that's, more exciting, East Coast, Pennsylvania, from a small little Texas town. She arrived, and I'm probably not going to say this college name right. I never do. I have a problem with some words. Maybe you do too. Bryn Mawr, that's where she was accepted. It's a private liberal arts college. But imagine arriving there from this small Texas little town and thinking, wow, just everything just right in front of you is like a whole brand new adventure. Pretty exciting, right? Now, the day that she arrived at Bryn Mawr, there was no way that Holly knew that her life was kind of on a collision course because she was getting ready to meet someone who eventually would end her life. Ira Samuel Einhorn was born on May 15th, 1940 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Ira attended the University of Pennsylvania and became active in ecological groups. He became part of the 1960s counterculture and was anti-establishment and anti-war. Looking back, he is considered a left-wing radical. Ira was a large man with vivid blue eyes and an unkempt beard. He seldom bathed. He became the head hippie in Philly, and at one point he even ran for mayor. Okay, this is a total side note. Just knowing that Ira really didn't bathe much, it makes me go back to when I was a little girl. I was about 5 or 6, something like that. And this was not my normal babysitter, but I do remember being introduced to this girl, and I don't even remember her name. So if you're watching, I'm sorry, I don't remember you, but you stunk. That I remember. It was like she was a hippie and, she was just stinky. And I remember that as a little girl going, wow, that's, ugh. So as an adult, I'd be like, you got some serious beau. I may not say anything to you, but it was very pungent. So I think of that and I think about how Ira is described. I'm like, man, I bet you he had some serious beau. Ira's surname Einhorn means one horn in German. Some think he gave himself the nickname, which is unicorn. Unicorn is also the symbol for Christ. Ira was a pacifist and he was thought to be a gentle visionary. There were two basic camps, those that saw Ira as a guru and those who perceived him as a con man. Ira, or the unicorn, seemed to live well. Wealthy benefactors gave him gifts. He had the gift of gab and he was really, really very good at networking. His style as the, preaching guru caught the attention of leading intellectuals. Ira rubbed elbows with celebrities such as Isaac Asimov and Peter Gabriel. Side note, again, Peter Gabriel is one of my all-time favorite male vocalists. Just so you know, if you don't know Peter, look him up. And I guess another one of my all-time favorites is not mentioned, but I'm going to tell you anyway, David Bowie. Love David. Ira smoked pot, took LSD, and was very much into free love. People in the corporate world also admired him. One thing for sure is that Ira was very good at influencing others. In 1972, Ira and Holly met. Their relationship began around October, and a few days after meeting, they moved in together. Holly fell under Ira's charismatic charm, and the little apartment that they lived in was about 575 square feet, and it was located on Race Street in Philadelphia. After graduating, Holly worked at a co-op. Allegedly, there was a side to Ira that no one saw except for kind of Holly. He is said to have been very jealous and possessive and, just kind of self-centered too. Again, allegedly. Ira smashed a Coke bottle over a girlfriend's head. Now, I read that it was Holly, and I also read that it was someone else, so I'm not sure exactly. And also, he tried to strangle someone. Again, somewhere I read it was Holly, and then I saw it, just kind of like another girlfriend, so I'm not really sure. But overall, they had a 5-year relationship, and it was just, very tumultuous. Now, Holly and Ira would go to parties together because, they were young and all of that, and that's what you do, go to house parties and whatnot. But Ira would leave with someone else. It's also said that Ira would make Holly I'll just say, get close and personal with other people while he watched, if you pick up what I'm throwing down there. Also, he's been characterized as being a very domineering. Eventually, Holly had just had enough. She was ready for something else. And so she just like walked out. She left everything behind and she just left. She just, was like, okay, I'm done, and moved on. Well, she went to Fire Island, which is like a beach area outside of New York City. I'm sorry, I didn't look on the map or anything. So if you know better than I, then you can let me know in the comments. Anyway, she met this new guy. His name was Saul. However, that relationship, it was better, but it was just doomed from the start. It wasn't going to last because Holly had to go back and get her stuff. So one day she calls up Ira and she's like, yo, gotta get my stuff. And he just like goes off. And so she leaves and she just like picks up and she leaves and she goes back to go get her stuff. Now, I don't know if you have ever been in a relationship where the guy was kind of like that, like just very kind of controlling and stuff. And there's something about it, and I'm not going to explain it well, and I'm not an expert on this, but it's like you'll just kind of do their bidding. It's like you feel like you have to or something. I really don't know how to explain it. So I put myself, in Holly's shoes, having been in this abusive relationship with Ira and now met this good guy, but now you got to go and get your stuff. And you're confronted with all of that. So anyway, she goes to, get her stuff from Ira. Well, P.S. Ira got like really mad when he found out Holly was involved with someone else because, going to take over his place and all that. September 9th, 1977. That's the day that Holly left Saul and she's like, okay, I'm going to go get my stuff. And she went back to the little place on Race Street in Philly. Holly never returned, and after a couple of days, Saul and some of her friends reported her missing. By the time October rolled around, Holly had not sent out birthday cards to family members, and she was known to always do this. So they knew something was wrong. So they contacted the police to say, like, something is up. Now, the police contacted Ira, and this is what Ira had to say, and I find this just weird. He says that Holly was there and, he went to go take a shower. This is a guy who was known for being smelly. He was known for not taking a shower. So on this day, he just happens to go take a shower. That just doesn't sit well with me. So anyway, and he says that Holly was going to go to the store and then he never saw her again. Now, after Holly disappeared, Ira is said to have put on some great performance, like how much he really missed her. Holly's family hired a private investigator. The private investigator's name was Robert Stevens. Now, he dug around for stuff for like about 14 months, but it was really hard because Ira was so well liked in Philadelphia that like following up on leads and stuff was really super hard. Ira had this amazing reputation and so much influence that, people just believed Ira and they were like, well, he's missing Holly. What's going on here? Why is someone like snooping around? So it was kind of that going on. And the thing is, the, private investigator, he was working with limited resources, but over time he found some evidence and he went to the police department. He's like, I think there's something up here and I suspect Ira. Michael Chitwood was a veteran homicide investigator. And so he was soon on the case once that he knew like, oh, there's something up here and okay, let's go check it out. Now in March of 79, Okay, get this. This is really creepy. The downstairs neighbors of Ira's reported something like just some weird smell that was really pretty gross and nasty. They were also getting like this brown goop was like, coming out of the ceiling and like coming down into their apartment. And it was all just really super nasty. So the police go to like, check things out. Ira answers the door and he's completely nude. And Ira didn't resist. The police, just snooping around, going around looking for her, where's the smell coming from? What's going on here? He was just all chill and relaxed about it. Now, eventually, the police kind of like found this door that had a padlock on it. And Ira said, nope, don't have a way to unlock it. And so, they pried it open and they go inside and there's this steamer trunk. And, the stench gets stronger and, really pretty bad. So anyway, they open it up and they're kind of like going through some papers because there's newspapers in there. And they find a mummified body and it was Holly. And the guy just kind of looks over at Iris like, I found Holly. And Iris like, oh, you found what you found. Now, Holly had been bludgeoned to death and Ira was arrested that day. At the bail hearing, there was this parade of supporters, people coming in, singing Ira's praises, how great Ira is and all of that. And so his lawyer was able to like get the bail like really down. Arlen Specter was his lawyer. And this guy he became a senator later, but Ira's bail now was $4,000. And the thing is, people just rallied around Ira saying, oh, this misunderstanding is just going to be cleared up because everyone just happens to have a steamer trunk with a mummified body in it in their apartment, right? So that's just a normal thing. And here's the thing. Ira claimed he had no idea that her body was in there. Had no idea. It's like, dude, did you not smell something? You really want people to buy this? I cannot believe that he was selling this as a story that I just didn't know. Now, Ira did tell kind of like a far out there sort of story because he was known for like his political beliefs and all of that. He just was basically like, oh, the feds are after me. And, like some agents must have come in here, some federal agents and like killed her. And like, they're trying to set me up. I'm being set up. That's kind of like what he went with. Now, here's the thing. So 2 months before Ira's trial, poof, dude vanishes. Now, the story doesn't end there because guess what? There was someone who was determined to track him down. The Philadelphia District Attorney, Richard D. Benedetto, I'm not sure if I said that right. See, I have this deal with names. I don't know if I say them right. So, it is what it is. Anyway, for 17 years, Richard was like working on like, where's Ira? Where's Ira? I've got to find Ira because, he killed Holly and this is wrong. He needs to be punished, that kind of thing. And throughout the years, there were a few times when, he barely missed Ira, but it's like, Ira was being tipped off. And here's the part that really gets me is that over all these years, Ira's benefactors continued to support him. They would send him money. I even found, and this is totally allegedly, there was one article that I saw that said Bill and Hillary Clinton were, benefactors of Ira's. Now, again, I do not know that was absolutely the truth. I just found that somewhere, so that could be total hearsay. I'm just throwing it out there because I came across it. In 1993, Ira was tried for the murder of Holly Maddux absentia. That means that he wasn't physically present during the trial. And he was found guilty. Big shock. Now, about a year later, there was this wealthy Canadian woman who, I guess it dawned on her that, maybe Ira actually did it. She just didn't believe Ira anymore, that, he was innocent. So she contacted the district attorney and kind of gave him a little tip about, where Ira might be, sort of. She said to look for this wealthy Swedish woman named Annika Floden. Now, you wouldn't think that a driver's license, like applying for a driver's license, would lead to capturing a murderer, but in this case, it did. Not Ira, Annika. A Swedish Interpol officer discovered that an Annika Floden Malin applied for a French driver's license. Now, it was known that Ira had used this other name that he kind of borrowed from someone who owned a bookstore, Eugene Mallon. Annika was Mrs. Eugene Mallon, aka Mrs. Ira Einhorn. On May 15th, 1997, that was the day that the unicorn was captured, and this time Ira was not tipped off. He and Annika were living in a small wine village within France called Champagne-Mouton. Ira was arrested in June of 1997. However, this whole abstention thing, that was a sticking point because in France, if you're tried abstention and then like you're found, then you get, another trial. But that was not the case back in Philly. There was not a law like that. But all of a sudden now there was a movement like, okay, we're going to change this because we want to get Ira back here. And so a law was changed. And so then he was going to get a new trial. So the French were like, great, here's your boy. There you go. On October 17th, 2002, 25 years after the death of Holly Maddux, Ira was sentenced to life in prison. You see, the French, they didn't want somebody killed, so that's why the law was changed so that, he could be sentenced to life. And all the while, old Ira, he was maintaining that he was innocent. Now, Ira is no longer with us. As a matter of fact, during what's going on in the world right now, the pandemic, Ira died. Ira died April 3rd, 2020. And it said that it was natural causes, not related to COVID-19. Now, granted, I don't have anything to go on other than what I've read and videos that I've watched and stuff like that. But something just about it, everything that I, found out about Ira, he just really seems to hit a lot of the earmarks of a narcissist. He definitely came across as someone who had like this grandiose sense of self. And he wanted attention from everyone. So, that's something else that makes me think of that. And he also was very entitled, hence, the whole thing of like getting his bail reduced, living off the, wealth of benefactors. I mean, because he never like really had a job during that time. He also had a track record of seducing women. So all of that just, it just makes me think that, he must have been a narcissist. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just really seems to kind of fit. And it kind of fits a bit like maybe even kind of cult leader type of thing, because he seemed to have really cast a spell on people. He also had emotional outbursts and like a whole big lack of empathy, especially for Holly, of what she went through because he's the one that killed her. Now, when you go back and you look at the 60s and 70s historically, self-help was really, really super popular. And Ira's voice really fit into that movement. Now, you are probably familiar with Earth Day, which is April 22nd. Earth Day began in 1970. Ira laid claim to being one of the founders. Now, the Earth Day people, the sub-founders, co-founders, whatever you call them, anyway, they've tried to kind of like distance themselves because, I mean, do you really want to be associated with someone who's known to be a murderer? Now, on the first celebration, Ira took the stage for like 30 minutes. Now, the co-founders are saying like he just like took the microphone and he just went off. Meaning, I mean, Ira could just like stand up and just talk. It's not like he needed a script or anything like that. He could just stand up and like command the crowd. And that's what he did. And here's the thing. The organizers of Earth Day, they were fine with Ira until he was arrested for Holly's murder. Then they're just kind of like, yeah, no. I mean, they're putting distance between themselves and him. Now, personally, I feel like overall, we as human beings, we can do better. We can do better with our planet. We can do better with each other. And to me, Earth Day shouldn't be about anything other than Holly Maddux and remembering her and remembering that her life was cut short, because I think that we should be caring for our planet every single day of the year, just doing better. I would much rather reserve April 22nd as a day to remember the life of a beautiful young woman whose life was cut short because she was murdered. Now, when you get involved with someone who is a narcissist, and I was in a relationship like that, and I'm not going to get into the ins and outs of it, but you do run the risk of putting yourself in harm's way. I mean, I know I did. When we finally, well, I guess I ended it. Yeah, I ended it. And when I did, I mean, I feared for my life. I honestly feared for my life. And the guy keyed my car, like every single panel of it. And I'm not going to tell you the things that he wrote on it. I mean, a lot of things happened, and people knew. I mean, I was always on guard. So I guess there's a part of me that I can relate to this aspect of, Holly having been involved in this relationship with Ira, because I see it a little bit through those eyes, if that makes sense. Holly never had the chance to live a full life. Her life was cut short because, in my opinion, this madman, this guy who was so controlling and wanted her all to himself, even though he was like a jerk to her, couldn't handle that she was leaving and that she had started a new life. But I do think that this does kind of like highlight when there's someone who's charismatic and stuff like that, how they can influence someone. I think that Ira influenced Holly to return because it goes back to this whole desire to control someone. Now, I hope each Earth Day, you too will think about Holly and think about the life she could have had. This crime will just really, it will forever haunt me. And I guess maybe that Texas connection is part of it. And part of it is also that, having been involved with a narcissist myself, but I really do feel like a larger audience needs to be aware of this crime and remember this girl on April 22nd instead of, the whole Earth Day thing, because we should be doing that every day of the year. Let me know what you think about this story. Let me know if you've heard about the unicorn killer. And if this video is something you enjoyed, make sure that you give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell and, all that sort of stuff, because that would mean so much to me. And I never know how to end my true crime stories. I have a saying with anti-MLM, but when it comes to ending this, I just feel so out of sorts. So I guess I'll just say, like toodles, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.